Headset.
I see it's going through now, so I'm going to wait for it to go through. Okay, folks, welcome to Quantum Leap with David and Cory. And here you saw that we're good to go, Cory?
I see it.
Okay, okay, good. Well, um, I'm going to take down the share here. And if you're new to the show, sorry, it's a live broadcast. We do all the production ourselves, which makes it exciting but kind of distracting at times. Um, but we like it. And my name is David Kirsten. I'm a co-host here with Cory Knott, and we talk about business development. And today we're going to talk about business partnerships. But I just wanted to first have Cory do kind of a short introduction to you, Cory, if folks are tuning in for the first time, and just um, what you do with business partnerships in your business. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Cory Knott, and I am co-owner of Take Wing Coaching, and so I do business coaching, and my focus is on partnerships. So working within the dynamics of the relationships between business partners and how they run the business more from their as human beings versus the topics of the business.
Yeah, perfect. And we um we have a number of things we're going to go through today about business partnerships. We're going to focus on this, and I know you have experience coaching both individuals, business partnerships. You're also good at coaching kind of collaboration, because I feel like there's a little bit different gradations in actual collaboration between business owners. Today we're going to focus on partnerships, which is, from my what I understand, it's an actual legal partnership. Often, you own 50-50 on the business or whatever. But if you don't mind just introducing this topic and kind of tell us how you got into business partnership coaching and just some of your experience with partnership coaching and business coaching.
Yeah, I got into coaching, through my own journey, which we really don't have time to go through today. But along that way, the coaching styles that I learned originally was really in a more group environment. So people doing exercises together, and then whatever that brought up was kind of in a room. It's sort of a boutique, small room personal development environment. And I trained in that. And then I was recruited by Dawn Lyons to partner with her on starting a referral institute franchise in Oakland. And Referral Institute was a company that was founded by Dr. Ivan Meisner, the founder of BNI, and then co-run with him with Mike Macedonio and Don Lyons and Eddie Esposito. And they developed a program for helping people collaborate specifically for the purpose of cross marketing referrals, right? It's referral marketing. How do we get more referrals and really highly qualified referrals to the point that people are actually developing, you could call it almost a semi-formal partnership, right? They were so engaged in each other's businesses, but they'd still be separate business owners, that they could help, they could drive business towards each other very effectively. And so that really, we'd start them out, we'd move them up the ladder, and then we'd start working on their collaboration. So it was very uh, geared towards helping people work with other people and
Great.
understand all the dynamics of that.
I know, just an aside, I know Ivan Meisner has a new book out, The Third Paradigm, which I'm excited to listen to on Audible. I got to finish this one book I'm on now, but I feel like there's a little bit something in the air about collaboration and kind of going forward, how exciting, the new ideas and kind of models around collaboration are. So,
Yeah,
um,
I agree, and I think though that what Ivan is getting at is it's co-creation. So this is not a brand new concept, but it's one that's kind of coming out of academia. There's been some authors over the last 15 years who have, touched on this topic. I think the earliest I found is around 2000. But the idea behind co-creation is it goes beyond collaboration. In a collaboration, you have people of different skill sets, different ideas, different powers and authority. But co-creation takes it to the level of saying, okay, let's drop all the ego, let's drop all of the um, rules and requirements and status and everything else, and everyone really is equal in the process of creation. What comes out of it may not be as equal, but it's ultimately, we're going to get the best from people when they're not it's stuck in a particular paradigm, which is why it's called the third paradigm, right? It's taking it out of the collaboration to another step, which is co-creation. And I'm using that in partnerships too, because I believe that the methodology I develop for partnerships is really a co-creative process.
Yeah, good point. I know collaboration is kind of a vague word and it's really what you kind of do in partnership. But I was just going to say, just to lead off, what unique sets of issues are faced by business partnerships? What do you run into? Some of these are, a lot of them are make or break, and people don't make it necessarily unless they tackle them. Just in talking to you initially about some of these issues.
Yeah, well, I mean, the first one is usually unequal commitment. Somebody, I was just talking to somebody yesterday who he was working with somebody, and I guess they had done really well on a project, and one said, "Hey, let's start a business," and they went off and started a business together. And he said, they never really gelled as people. They were never friends, and it got to be a very toxic relationship a little ways down the road. But they managed for quite a few years, which is unusual. But typically, that's the first issue that people face, is this sort of like, we don't know how to get along. And sometimes they can get along and they just don't know how to. But it's really important at that stage to figure out if they can or not. And sometimes it just breaks up because they can't figure it out, or sometimes it goes really wrong after they get things set up. uh, and then once people are in a partnership, and this could be even where people know each other, there's more about a desire to be autonomous. And we, as business owners, like to be in control of our own business, and now you're sharing that autonomy with somebody else. And if you don't have a structure for that process, it can get complicated. Different communication styles, and a really big one that I see a lot is an imbalance in effort. So there could be one person who's doing 90% of the work, and the other one is complaining they can't get anything done because the other person's doing all the work. And that's a really common one, and usually comes from communication, differing values, differing vision that was never synthesized into the business, co-created, as it were. Right? It's a collaboration, and I think the co-creation process is that what we can do with that is very powerful in partnerships.
Yeah, and I'm already going a little bit off script, but
That's
what
right.
one big thing I've been learning about, and a big kind of breakthrough in my business, was processes. So I feel like it can be so important to have somebody help you set up some of those processes that can become even, you know, solopreneur can get by without any processes right out of the gate, but a partnership needs them probably right away in terms of who's going to do what and how you're going to kind of manage that.
Yeah, we really need to focus on the strengths and weaknesses. Who has what, and what do they bring to the table? And then if neither has certain strengths that are needed in the business, then that's something to be delegated or learned. And who's going to learn that? Who feels comfortable doing that? For instance, accounting. Not everybody knows accounting going into a business, but sometimes you have somebody who's good at the math and they're happy to, take on that role. Money is also a really big issue, and the whole communication around money can derail everything. Um, and that's one of the areas of focus. Even with people who know each other well, as soon as it starts to affect their livelihood, it creates a lot of anxiety and resentment.
Yeah, I hear you. Now, I did want to get it. I probably should have started with this, or I could have. What are the benefits of being in a big business partnership?
All
I
right.
know
Yeah.
when people are, maybe they're in a business right now, or they're thinking about whether to go alone or maybe get a business partner. But what do you see as the big benefits? And really, what do you see in partnerships at work in terms of like what kind of business it is, and why the partnership might be better than going it alone?
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of benefits. Once, going back to the strengths and weaknesses, so you can leverage skills that people have that you do not. Where this really works, again, somebody who's really good with money versus somebody who isn't. Maybe somebody who's really good at sales or the marketing or the, going out there and doing the effort, versus somebody who's good at the operations. Those are where we usually see successful partnerships, when they can get along really well and each one has their own domain. And that's something that needs to be established without trying to control each other. There's benefits of having more access to capital, right? So sometimes somebody has more capital, they have more assets that they can bring to the table. I partnered with somebody many years ago. It didn't fail for bad reasons. It just didn't work out the way I had hoped, and maybe he was a little too close to retirement. But it was a really cool thing that this guy had developed this tool, and I saw the potential of bringing it to other markets. And so, for him, if he were to take me on as a partner, it would be a separate business. He'd have his business, then he had another business, and then we would have a business together as a partnership. And I think there's another value in there too for people who are in business, enjoy that serial entrepreneur work, is to partner on businesses that you can help run, but you don't have to run full time. And so you can kind of extend your portfolio of business, but still it does take work, right? You have to put time and effort into that. You can't let one person do all the work, but it does allow you to exceed what is your own vision. It's amazing what partners can do when they're in full swing.
Yeah, I know some people are really, or a lot of people are motivated by working with somebody else too. It
Yeah,
really
you don't have to
makes
go
it.
alone.
Yeah, yeah. Um, what does the coaching process look like for a business partner? So say somebody wants to think about working with you, do you do like kind of an intro session, and then what's kind of like the crib sheet for what it's going to look like getting started with you?
Yeah, not everyone is really thrilled by the idea of coaching. It's always a challenge. Like, what is coaching? Is this therapy? What are you going to do to me? And all that. And the coaching world is growing, but it's still, a lot of people out there is not familiar with it. So one of the first things I do is more of a consultative session, and it's to look at what it is you're intending to do and how would you go about structuring that. Thinking about what kind of structure needs to be in place, what conversations need to be had, what is how much have you assessed each other, and so on. So it's I'm not really giving coaching. I'll give advice and consultation, and then what kinds of information they need to bring to an attorney for a partnership agreement, contingency agreements, and all these other things that people tend not to think about when jumping into a partnership, but will relieve a lot of anxiety over doing it right, and potentially save them some enormous costs. I was talking to one person who said they had a client who, two people, they partnered up and they went out and they put a 5-year lease on a office in Manhattan, right? 100,000 a year, and the partnership broke up 3 months later. So now each one is still on that lease and they have to sublet, right? They have to find a subletter, and they're on the hook for those payments until the lease is up. You can't just walk away from those things or you go bankrupt. So it's come to me first, and we'll go through, like, what decisions are you going to make ahead of time and need to have in place before you commit financially to a partnership. And then from there, I would hope that they would look at the coaching process, and that's fairly intensive. I work with each one individually for 6 weeks. So we do regular meetings each week, and I coach them as individual business owners, learning much more about them, helping them articulate their vision, their values, all those things that we would do in a sort of a collaborative coaching environment, plus learning what they know about business and how they see business. Right? We use the standard tools that coaches use. Then I bring them together and we help them synthesize all that information into a strategic plan. And what's really important there, and this is the co-creative process now in action, where it is setting aside all the ego, including mine, and letting them be fully heard, such that their values and their vision and their desires and their wants and everything they know is written into that plan, that each one feels like they're fully represented. And then we have 12 months of regular check-ins on whether that's that process and they're still able to create together and have effective communications. So it's sort of I help basically run their monthly partner meetings. And
Okay, great.
yeah, that's my full package. I mean, there can be ways I can help people maybe establish family boards or do other kinds of work together. But really, I want people to have a successful partnership. And while it is an investment, it's not a it's going to pay for itself very quickly versus what
Yeah.
that doesn't. We don't.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Um, I guess this is a little bit of a business coaching question, but I might skip ahead and we'll just end with this one because this I don't like this question that much. But who is your ideal client? Like, who are you most looking to work with out there?
Generally, I've liked working with spouses, right? So partners who are partners in life and wanting to run something together as a business. There's a substantial investment there of just not only protecting their relationship, protecting their retirement. There's so many things that can go into that, and a lot of ego too, right? Between the two people, it's sometimes one is sort of being dragged along by the other and they don't know what they're getting into, so we can help them feel really confident about it, or show that maybe something needs to change a little bit, right? Which is one of the people fear things that people fear in coaching is they're going to have their ideas shot down, which I don't do. It's more about recognizing whether this is really a workable thing, and if it is, let's make it work really well. I do believe that almost all partnerships can work, and the reason that they fail is just that lack of having the communication and um, letting go of the ego so they can create what they really need to create.
Yeah, I love that word co-creation that you said. I almost want to start using that more instead of collaboration because but I know it can be challenging to get to co-creation. You actually have to collaborate first in a productive way and then yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the collaboration is great. I mean, what you and I are doing is a collaboration. You created Quantum Leap, you created the logo, you created the look and the styles, you put out all this information. It's a collaboration, and then you invited me in, and we co-create a tiny bit, but for the most part, it's you, and that's great. I like that kind of collaboration. But a true business partnership, and then in some cases other things, and I recommend picking up Dr. Weisner's book because he outlines what the co-creation process can do for an organization. Um, Collaboration is great. It's great for marketing and working together and allowing people to kind of have a informal partnership, but there's another level you can take it to when you really want somebody to partner with you.
Yeah, no, well put. And that is a good example of a lot of things start at collaboration and
Yeah.
they just stay there, and that's fine. Others, it makes sense to go to, co-creation or a partnership, if you will. And um, well, I'm going to end it there. I just first wanted to see if folks want to hear more and see if your offerings might be the right thing for them. What's the best way to get in touch with you?
So go to the website, takewingcoaching.com, and corynot.com. We'll be going to that soon enough. We've been making some changes to our website, but it does have a partner page and some of the other things that we do.
Okay, perfect. Well, we'll leave it there for today, and we're actually going to revisit a few of these issues in a couple weeks with kind of a pilot of a new podcast that I'm starting called Solopreneur. So that'll be kind of the quick version. This is the more in depth on partnerships. So we look forward to hearing more about your business on that podcast, Cory, and we'll put these out as highlights as well. So, folks,
So
thanks for yeah. Do you have
I was
some
going to say,
closing
if
thoughts?
somebody's a solopreneur, then what do we call partnerships? We call it a partnerpreneur? No, I don't know.
Well, you're
That's
correct me
right.
if I'm wrong, but you're a solopreneur offering partnership coaching. Is that right?
No, well, I'm in business with Gail. I mean,
Yeah. Okay.
she's also there marketing for me. We created this business together, and the whole process, the whole thing we went through to build Take Wing Coaching was co-creative too, which is what I'm helping others with. And oh yeah, so sorry to take it away, but yeah, so I am not technically a solopreneur. Uh,
Okay. Yeah,
just
no, well put. And we'll make that point on the podcast. I'm gonna have to work a little bit on the the criteria there. So well, thanks for listening, folks. We're gonna end it there and regroup here in a couple minutes with another guest coming up here at 11. And thanks for joining us for this segment of Quantum Leap. Thanks, Corey, for
Thank you, everyone.
sharing
Thanks.
those
Thanks,
insights.
David.